John Ulzheimer is known as one of our nation's most recognized credit experts. Having worked for 28 years in the credit industry, John has become one of the most prolific speakers about credit and the go-to authority on answers to credit-related questions. Credit Countdown with John Ulzheimer.
Hey there, John Ulzheimer here. Today we're going to talk about a subject that's not a terribly pleasant subject, but it's something that unfortunately some of you may be dealing with, and so it's important that we have a discussion about it just so I can maybe give you some tidbits and some suggestions and some things to watch out for. Can debt collectors sue you for defaulted credit card debt? Maybe is the answer to that question. So let's kind of unpack this a little bit. So if you have debt with a credit card issuer and that debt goes into default because of extreme non-payment, well, obviously, you know, bad things are about to happen. So let's talk about some of those bad things. So number one, the credit card issuer is going to close your account. They're going to report you as being delinquent to the credit bureaus. They're probably going to report you as being in default or charged off to the credit bureaus because you're not paying them. What they will likely do after that is one of two things. They will either package your defaulted debt with a bunch of other defaulted debt and then sell that to a debt buyer, or they're going to outsource your particular debt to a third-party debt collector, aka a collection agency. And that collection agency is going to attempt to collect the debt on behalf of the credit card issuer from you. And they would keep a percentage of whatever amount they were able to collect from you. One of the methods that they can use to collect is credit reporting. They can certainly report your debt to the credit reporting agencies. It'll show up as a third-party collection. Obviously, collections are considered derogatory events by credit scoring systems, and they have the potential to lower your credit scores. And collections can remain on credit reports for many, many years, for up to 7 years from the date of the first delinquency that led to the default with the original creditor. So that's one of the things they can do to attempt to collect the debt. You know what a collection agency can also do? They can do nothing. They can just slap it on your credit report and never ever call you, never ever send you a letter asking for payment. They can do nothing. They can just basically passively irritate you by putting it on your credit report, and then when you eventually go someday to apply for a mortgage loan or something where you need good credit, the lender pulls your credit report and identifies to you that, hey, you've got an unpaid collection, we got to get that thing paid in order for us to do a loan for you. So that's one of the strategies. It's kind of a very low-key strategy that debt collectors sometimes employ. All right, now we get to the really bad news. Now we get to the subject of this video, which is, can debt collectors sue me to collect that debt? Absolutely, yes, they can sue you. Here's an interesting rule about this issue of suing. There's a federal statute called the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, or the FDCPA. Trust me, you don't want to say that too many times, FDCPA. And one of the rules in the FDCPA is that debt collectors are not allowed to threaten to sue you unless they actually intend to do so. So if you get a communication from a debt collector and they're threatening to sue you, you should take them seriously, because they're not allowed to just pretend like they're going to sue you, because that will be a violation of federal law. So it's kind of an interesting little twist there. So yes, if they threaten to sue you, then they're going to. So just be aware of that. So what does that mean if they sue you? Well, they're taking legal remedies or legal means to attempt to collect a debt from you. That's basically what they're doing. And you can ignore what it looks like on your credit report. You can ignore the phone calls from the debt collector. You can ignore the phone calls from the credit card issuer. You can throw away any collection letters that you get in the mail, but you can't ignore a lawsuit. If the dude comes to your door and tries to hand you lawsuit paperwork, you can ignore that person, but that doesn't mean that the lawsuit doesn't exist. And if you ignore the lawsuit, then within 30 days, you're going to lose by default, because you're not going to respond to it, which you're required to. And if you don't, you're going to lose by default, and the debt collector can start doing things like garnishing wages. And those are things that, if it gets to that point, then respectfully, you've been really irresponsible, because there are so many things you can do along the way to prevent things like that, that if it gets to money being pulled out of your paycheck against your will, you basically just ignore people way too long. So absolutely, yes, debt collectors can sue you. If they threaten to do so, that means they are going to do so. There are tons of things you can do along the way. Offer to settle, offer to get on a payment plan, do something to avoid that, because when that happens, the price goes way up, because lawyers are not cheap. You get to hire expert witnesses like me. We're not cheap, so you're going to want to avoid those types of things as best as possible. So again, not a very pleasant topic for discussion, but it's important that we address these things. We can talk about the good stuff all day long, but we also need to address some of these bad things. Have a great rest of your day. We'll talk again soon.
For more videos and credit tips from John Ulzheimer, go to www.tradelinesupply.com.